Oh, well, I guess so.
You can't make me laugh or I start coughing.
Okay. So,
No humor in this one.
yes, very just down the line informative.
All
All
right.
right.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
Hey, I'm Nate.
Hello, I'm Steve.
And today on Dungeon Vets Table Talk, we're going to be talking about how to role-play class changes at your table. This is not multi-classing. This is how to go from one class to another class and why you might do such a thing in D&D. We're probably going to say this multiple times, but the most important thing is to talk to your DM and have a good relationship with them to figure out how best to approach this situation. So
that you can have fun.
So that you can have fun. The whole idea of D&D is to have fun, but we'll get into that in a second. We have at our table done a couple of different class changes, and not always just through character death and then a new character comes up. We've done a race change through RP. Species change.
No. This is.
Well, no, that was a race change.
Oh yeah, because it was a Ganassi to a different Ganassi.
Yeah. So
that's kind of confusing.
All right.
It doesn't matter because this is all in 5th edition. And in 5th edition, it's still called race.
Oh, well, one D&D.
Yes.
Species.
But when we're talking one
Yes.
D&D, like we just swear, you can't.
We
I
are
think I'm
very
just gonna fully
accepting,
convince-
and we've had a lot of different changes throughout our table life. That's all you need to know. Okay.
I see neither of you guys changed clothes to make it seem like we're doing this at a different time.
No.
Neither did you.
No, I'm
We
not.
just-
I'm happy.
We just
Okay.
got done recording our Unearthed Arcana on clerics and some new species for 1D&D, so I am still sick, and we
I'm
are
still
still
kind
in the
of
same
sick
clothes.
also.
But I have a lozenge now, so we're good.
Well, then that's great. So,
Right.
why you might actually change or want to change your class in D&D?
And I do want to note that it's like you can change your class by creating an entirely new character, but that's not what we're talking about. You're keeping the character who was a fighter, and that same character is now becoming a monk or what have
Yeah.
you. You know,
Say
So-
you really like your backstory, you really like
yeah, you want to
RPing
keep.
this character, and they mesh well with the party, and so as a result, you want to change your class because you don't like it for whatever reason. But
Yeah,
keep your
you can
character.
do that,
You can.
You can.
You can.
and that's what we're here to talk about.
There aren't
can.
rules for it in the Dungeon Master's Guide or in the Player's Handbook, but this is Dungeons and Dragons, and you can pretty much do whatever the heck you want as long as you have the consent of the table. So, why you might want to change your class. Specifically, we're here to have fun in Dungeons and Dragons. So, you're probably unsatisfied for one reason or another with your first class that you chose. Maybe you're new to D&D and you're like, okay, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to pick a champion fighter. Then a couple months go by at the table and you're like, all right, all I do is roll these 2d20s. And that's really it. And
I've learned the game. I want to move on now.
yeah, I'm done with the tutorial character. And this campaign's not anywhere near done. So a class being too boring might be a reason you want to switch. A class being too weak also just doesn't feel good when you're outclassed by everybody else at the table, when you don't really have a specific thing that you shine in. That can be unsatisfying. And if you guys have any particular examples of this, please bring them up.
Or if you do have something in particular you shine in, but it's so niche that it just doesn't come up often enough, even after working with your DM.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
happens, you know?
That does happen. DM can't do everything. But also, it can also not be fun if your character's too strong. If you're overshadowing everybody, you're the protagonist. You're the one who gets all the crits, does all the damage, does all the checks, and everybody else is kind of along for the ride. That doesn't feel good. And I would hope that you might be self-aware enough to be able to diagnose that problem. But that also might be a reason you want to change classes.
Or in the same vein, maybe just due to the mechanics of your class, you end up kind of being, I don't want to say forced, but maybe so, into the role of like face of the party. And you don't really want to be that person, the one who's talking to everyone, doing the heavy lifting and the RP moments and the social interactions.
Yeah.
Not everyone's into that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're a sorcerer, but you're playing a disfigured person. Even though you have that high charisma role isn't something that you really want in your character's
That's kind of
repertoire.
a separate thing. I might have gone on a little tangent there,
Yeah.
but
Anyway,
there are a million reasons why you might.
Yeah, so many different variations of why and how you want to switch.
and my favorite one is for character growth. This is something that you have built into your character's plan. You talk to your DM and be like, I think at around 4th level, maybe 5th level, I think I want to try to like change classes. I want to go through this particular journey. Maybe you find the your father's sword and you take up his oath or something and you become a paladin. Or
Yeah.
maybe you're a fighter is you know bereft for killing so many people and they want to become a person of peace. Maybe they become a peace cleric or other type of a warlock or even a monk. Those are my favorite ways to stimulate character change or character class change. I think they're great for the party and for the player and DM.
And I just want to push back a little bit on something you said when you were like, this is a plan that your character has. I think it could be even cooler if events happen in the campaign and you just actually grow and change and become into a new person. Like you mentioned the fighter who's so bereft at all the people that they've killed and they want to just wave off violence. You can be a non-combative person and still be in D&D and still be very versatile and useful to your party. Absolutely. And that character growth of swearing off violence because maybe you hurt somebody close to you, that can be very powerful to role play through and very, very fun, So just having things happen to you and the deciding, man, it just seems like my character is going to have to change. And that can be so cool when you don't plan for it. I mean, when it just happens to you and you're like along for the ride, it really is like you're in the adventure.
And that's kind of, as a DM, it's kind of like, wow, my players are really invested in this campaign and what's happening to their characters.
This is and maybe you just haven't thought about using class change like this before, but having the conversation and just being aware that it can happen, I'm sure your DM, if maybe they haven't heard of this sort of thing, would love to go through that journey with you and your character. And this is certainly something you could, drop to your players like, hey, it might be a possibility to change classes if you want to. But yeah, especially with what you said, Steve, it not being planned makes it very impactful as well. So now that you've identified the problem, those are the different problems, or the different reasons why you might want to do a class change. How do you actually do it in role play format?
So
I think a lot of the time it's going to just depend on what class or subclass you're switching to,
Yeah,
that's
it
probably
does seem
the
very
biggest
contextual.
That's probably your jumping off point. And so if you're a warlock, if you're moving to warlock, you're meeting your patron. If you're paladin, you're taking your oaths. Your cleric, you're finding a new deity, things like that. And those are probably like the easiest ones because it's like a very clear, like this class uses this stuff as at its base, at its core. Moving to something like rogue or fighter or ranger might require a little more creativity on everyone's part.
Absolutely. And being open to the process is certainly necessary. I think for these more esoteric changes, like maybe you're switching from a wild magic sorcerer to a creation bard. That is something that might take a little bit of time, and certainly some of the examples you listed as well. This would be perfect for something that at the end of an arc, you work with your DM, maybe you have a couple months, maybe in a year of downtime, and what your character works on is becoming that new class. They take the pilgrimage to the top of the mountain and meditate with the monks and become a way of peace, something or other. Way of peace paladin. What is it, mercy paladin or peace monk? Those are both options for that sort of thing.
Downtime is definitely going to be one of your biggest friends here because some stuff is just going to be very difficult to take care of at the table with everyone there.
Some stuff doesn't even, like, it stretches the realm of possibility, like going from a barbarian to a wizard. How do you do that without a huge time skip?
Or vice versa.
It would, or maybe even vice versa.
Oh, that sounds fun. Let's workshop how that might happen.
You need to construct a montage with lifting weights.
Yeah, so the
what
wizard
causes the
goes
wizard
through.
to want to be a barbarian.
He's tired of getting beat
Yeah.
up, man.
Actually, this is a great idea, and I actually have this already planned. So for the two of you guys, I have a couple of thought scenarios for you guys. What I want you to do is to come up with a couple of like just 2 to 3 sentence quick explanations for why this character of one class is going to change entirely into a different class. And I'm going to give you both classes. Okay. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Ryan, why does start off with the easiest one. Why does the cleric switch to a warlock?
The cleric was dissatisfied with the amount of divine power his god gave him. He found an alternative, one with less limitations, one that aligned more with his goals and that of the party.
Okay, so classic descent option right there. It was a classic kind of question too, I think. So easy right there. So, all right, Nate, then back what we were just kind of talking about, the wizard to the fighter.
All right, how are you gonna give him like the easiest one you could think of? And then I got
All right, fine. You want to
no. I didn't say I didn't want it.
After
All right.
too many paper cuts.
Listen, I'm a Marine. I can't do things without bitching a little bit first.
All right. Very well.
Why does a wizard want to go to barbarian? You said
Fighter.
a fighter. I mean,
Or you
That
can
one's
choose
not
barbarian, I guess, if you're
that one's not too difficult, either. If you're just like, you know what, I'm tired of being this squishy dude who everyone can push around. I'm always having to use all these fancy spells just to get away and run from my problems. I want to start facing things head on. And, I found this dude who said he could train me with the sword, and I think I'm getting pretty good. I'm going to dive into this.
Yeah, maybe
All
if you're like
right.
a young wizard, you're like, this isn't, my dad was a wizard. I thought I wanted to walk this path. Not what I wanted.
Yes. Good. You can find things in the character to be able to make sense in their story. All right,
Kids,
Ryan.
The other wizards keep bullying me in the wizard school, and I'm coming to the next duel with a fucking sword, and I'm going to show them.
All right, Ryan. Why does the barbarian switch to rogue?
All right. The barbarian. Why does he switch to rogue? The barbarian was tired of. You know what? I got it. The barbarian was tired of just screaming into battle over and over. He got a cold or the flu, and he ran out of lozenges to make his throat feel better. So he decided to go with a different tactic altogether. I'm going to be sneaky. I'm not going to scream at somebody the second I see them. Maybe I'll take a dagger into combat. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
I can't help but think of that green text thing where it was the orc barbarian who told everyone he was a rogue because he would just go into
Intimidate.
places. He would roll low, but he would just be like, "You no see me," and they'd be like, "Nope, I don't see shit. I
Yeah.
don't see a damn thing."
I was imagining Grog trading in the battle axe for a heavy crossbow, and he's like right around the corner. And
Oh,
But all right,
what if,
listen.
what if you drank something and it like destroyed your vocal cords? And you can't eat as much, so you're not as big and brawny as you used to be. Or maybe that's how you would RP this situation.
Very good.
Where, you can't
Yes.
scream very well, and you become this sort of I've smoked 10 packs a day kind of guy.
All right,
Suddenly
Steve. I
start
don't think you should get away from this one. Why don't you?
All right, hit me.
Why don't you tell me how the warlock went to being a paladin?
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you were going to give me a hard one. All right.
Oh,
so
dang! I thought that was pretty challenging.
no, they use the same ability scores, dude.
Oh shit! You're right. I didn't even think about that.
The
No,
warlock realized that his patron was out for world domination, and he was being used in a way that didn't really align with his beliefs, and so he took a sacred oath to fight against that patron, and he became a paladin.
All right, yeah, it was pretty easy.
All right. So then back to you, Nate. Why does the bard become a monk?
Oh, fuck me, dude. How does the bard become a monk?
Is a lute a monk weapon in 1D&D yet?
I tried not to make me laugh at the beginning. Okay.
Yeah, we're not supposed to be funny.
I think maybe the bard has, with his very bardy lifestyle and things, he's always trying to be happy, and he's playing music. He's doing all these things, very cantankerous. What's the word I'm looking for? But he comes across this group of very austere folks, and he starts to realize the value in leading a more modest and simple life and how that might benefit him.
Yeah, what if you're this guy who is always chasing the high of something, whether it's performing for a crowd or maybe drugs or whatever it is, and you find that like maybe I should try to live a more holistic lifestyle. I'm never happy.
I'm always looking for happiness from somewhere else. What if I could find happiness in me?
And so the character would connect this too with their instruments, magic, and music use. Forgo all that and devote themselves to like knowing their body and discipline and stuff like that. And so, yeah, you could easily, even though it was weird at first, we got there. So like the things that you can brainstorm, the point of this is that even though some of these seem crazy, is that brainstorming with your friends at the table and your DM can yield a lot of really cool results.
Find where you want to be, where you want to end up, and then start drawing your connections from where you are, working with your DM in the process, It doesn't have to be like, well, that doesn't really make sense. No, you make it make sense by finding what you want to do.
This is a great alternative to throwing your character off a cliff or having them do a very unnecessary last stand.
Or doing
hold them off. It's like, dude, we could just, they're like a mile behind us. Like, just go.
Or even worse, the really weird, like, I'm going to head back home now. I miss my family. I know we're in the middle of this wild adventure, and they're going to resurrect this crazy god that's going to destroy the world. But I'm going to go see my family. It'd be like the rest of the party is going to say, "Oh, okay, well, thanks, then I guess." Hopefully, we just come across somebody else randomly in the next few days that wants to join our party.
It worked out in the end. But you're right, it could have been done better. But I didn't have these sorts of resources available to me at the time with that character. But now you do, dear listener.
Yes.
So
You're welcome.
Finally, the final call to action. If you like what we do, please continue to support us by leaving a like on YouTube or on Spotify. Help us out in any way you can. We're trying to grow, and so we do appreciate every little thing. A comment helps.
Press buttons.
Press the buttons. The bell
Type
icon.
things.
The things do work, and they do help us, especially for a small channel like us. So
Call me.